Hi guys, today we're up to the interlude. It's back to the bard talking, and yesterday we found out that Podkin did get free from the gate. Unfortunately had to lose his ear, so his ear got chopped off. So let's see what the bard has to say. Hey, that wasn't how he lost his ear. It was clawed off by a wildcat. No, a vampire rabbit ate it in one bite. It was pulled off by a giant lop. I heard he chopped it off himself and made it into a boat to escape an island full of monsters. The bard folds his arms and gives the little rabbits his best glare. Eventually their squeaking subsides and they sit frowning up at him in silence. Roasted radishes, you are a noisy bunch. I don't really care what you've heard about how Podkin became the one-eared, he says. This is my story. It belongs to me. And in my story, he had to cut it off to escape the gorm. That's daft, says the inquisitive rabbit. How can anyone own a story? It isn't a real thing. It's just words. Stories belong to the teller, says the bard. At least half of them do. The other part belongs to the listeners. When a good story is told to a good listener, the pair of them own it together. So the story is ours now, asks another rabbit. It will be, says the bard, if I ever get to finish the blooming thing. I think it makes sense, says a quiet, piebald rabbit at the front. There's no such thing as vampire rabbits anyway. I always thought he lost his ear in a battle, but this version sounds like something that would have happened. Thank you, says the bard. You're obviously a very sensible little rabbit, the chieftain's son, also, might I guess. Behind him, Chief Hubert swells with pride, or he would do if he wasn't already as swollen as any rabbit could get without exploding all over the Longburrow. The inquisitive rabbit makes the most of the interruption to pipe up once more. But how do you know what happened? If you weren't really there, I mean. The bard sighs and rolls his eyes. I'm a storyteller. I tell stories. That's my job. So this is just made up then. The inquisitive rabbit doesn't look very impressed. Well, if you're going to make up a story anyway, you might as well put vampire rabbits in. Vampire rabbits are exciting. By the goddess of sacred celery! The bard puts his head in his hands and makes a quiet sobbing sound. The sensible rabbit digs his friend in the ribs with an elbow. Vampire rabbits aren't real, he says. If the story has things in it that don't seem real, then we won't believe it. If we don't want to believe it, the story falls apart. Then there really is no point in listening to it. The bard peeps out between his fingers and gives the sensible rabbit a wink. There is a god, he says, of bards and storytellers. His name is Clarion, and he has been known to whisper the art of stories into the ears of a chosen few rabbits while they sleep. I believe he must have paid you a visit or two, my wise little friend. It is the sensible rabbit's turn to puff up with pride, making him look like a tiny replica of his father. A hint of what will he become? A hint of what will he become when it is his turn to be chieftain. Very well. The bard clears his throat and gives his audience another glare. If you've quite finished interrupting, might I be allowed to continue the story? We'll read chapter 7 tomorrow, which is called The Witch in the Woods. I wonder how many of you can remember who they meet and what happens to them. See you tomorrow.